you very much. Hi everyone. My research sounds a little strange, but I'm going to talk about celebrity translators. Let me begin. Excuse me from reading because I need to stick to the time. Oh, what happened? Oh, okay. Sorry. In Japan, there exists a phenomenon which can be termed the translator celebrity. When a translator is a celebrity, the name value attracts a wide readership, including among those who are not necessarily regular reader of translations. Such readers may choose to read a translation because of the translator rather than the source author. Publishers, in turn, heavily promote the translator in book covers and adverts by visually highlighting the translator's name against those of the source authors. Moreover, when a translator is exceptionally famous, such as Haruki Murakami, their name value is added into the marketing and branding of their translations. Murakami is inarguably the most famous translator in contemporary Japan. Many of his iconic translations, including the works by Raymond Carver and Fitzgerald and Raymond Chandler, are serialized under the Murakami brand. Furthermore, Murakami's endorsement, as well as his personal attachment to the source author, seems to occupy the promotional material, attempting to attract readers, including those of Murakami's novels. This phenomenon suggests that translator celebrity status has the potential to overshadow the source author status, reversing the traditional author-translator hierarchy. Today, I will focus on the complete works of Carver, whose popularity in present-day Japan owes much to the fame of Murakami, their translator. I will study the translator's name coverage on the book covers by examining the font size and frequency of appearances of his name compared to Carver's, as well as the nature of the promotional script. I will then go to the reader's motive for reading his translations by surveying readers' online reviews. The key questions are how does Murakami's fame manifest in publishers' marketing strategies? How does his presence in the work compare to the source authors? And how might Murakami's fame impact the reception of his translations among target readers? I'll begin with briefly explaining the concept of celebrity brand. Celebrity brand can be characterized as a clearly defined personality and reputation of a well-known person who professionally labels, manages, and promotes themselves to consumers and other stakeholders for the purpose of commercially supporting this unique image. What makes celebrity brands appealing to consumers, though, is not just their degree of fame or their physical attractiveness, but also the elements which are attributed to the celebrity, like their personalities and skills and talent. The celebrity study scholar Ham supports the notion that celebrities can be viewed as credible spokespersons or opinion experts in the brand they promote, they endorse, thereby providing consumers with a degree of confidence in the advertising message, and so raising the level of acceptance. And moreover, a celebrity can attract new customers and even revive a brand that has lost its marketplace positions by generating new enthusiasm from the consumers. So, celebrity can function as a strategic asset which endorses a new product, including translation, which I will demonstrate. Okay. Murakami was the first person to translate the works by Carver into Japanese in the early 1980s, while the author was yet to gain recognition in his own country. Murakami currently has the monopoly on translating Carver's works and has so far translated his entire collection, including about 64 short stories. He refers to Kawa as a master of novel writing and has widely spoken about his personal attachment to the author in essays and interviews. Examples include, "I feel strongly about translating his works by myself and not letting anyone to do it." Murakami's dedication and personal bond with the author's works expressed in paratext seems to have generated a perception of Kawa as a writer whom Murakami loves, adding value to the author's reputation. I will now examine the book cover designs chronologically because the branding process manifests most clearly. Murakami's first translation, Kawa's work, Where I Am Going From, was published in 1983, and followed by At Night the Sun Will Move, 1985, and A Small Good Thing in 1989, all in hardcover. The font size in which the translator's name is printed against the source order is striking. The format's name is listed in considerably larger font than that of the source order in red. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Yes, Murakami admits that when the book was published by Chuo Goron, I was being criticized because Murakami Haruki appears in larger font than Raymond Carver, but I had no choice, otherwise it would have been difficult to have the book published. His comment indicates that he did not have the upper hand, as although he was famous at that point, he did not gain celebrity status until after the publication of Norwegian Wood in 1987. The book cover designs here suggest that publisher depended on his name value to attract potential readers to the work of this obscure American writer. This is also telling the way Murakami's name is repeated in the catchphrases on the obi, or the band, which covers about 1/4 of the book covers, like this one. And by contrast, Kawa's name is mentioned only once on the cover. The main script on the obis is made up of brief summary of the books, but those on the figure 2 and 3 also mention interview and literary criticism by Murakami Haruki are included, and translated by Murakami with his deepest love at the bottom, respectively. The latter highlight the translator's personal attachment to the source order, attempting to arouse readers' curiosity. What is most striking, though, is the obi on this figure 4, the edition which was circulated in 1985 when Murakami won the literary prize for his Hard-Boiled Wonderland and the End of the World, 2 years after the translation was first published. This is an exceptional case where, unlike any of the other translations Murakami has produced, the feature on the obi mentions nothing about the book or the author. Instead, the first line of the obi in striking red reads, awarded Tanizaki Junichiro Prize, underneath which the translator's name is listed in the largest font on the cover. And the third line in the smallest font reads, Autumn 1985, wanting to feel touched, I pick up the book by Murakami Haruki. Together with the Japanese title of the book on the jacket, the only features which signal the origin of the book as a translation are the author's name and the term translated. This is the term translated, this tiny bit. So that this create an illusion that the book is Murakami's own original work and conceal the fact that this book is a translation. And in 1994, Murakami published Kawaba's Dozen, a collection of Kawaba's short stories, essays, and poems, which are Murakami's personal favorite, aiming to introduce the works to new readers. By 2020, the volume has had 17 print runs and published 161,000 copies. This publication was planned in parallel with the launch of a series entitled Complete Works by Kawaba, which began in the same year and was completed in 2004. It could be argued that the Kawaba's Dozen functioned as a trailer for the new series. Unlike the translation published in the 1980s, Kawaba's presence on the cover, like this one, becomes more prominent, which is telling that his name has become more familiar with the target readers. But there is still an overt presence of Murakami on the covers of both the hardback and paperback editions. On the former, this one, the title of the book in both English and Japanese is listed at the top in bold in the largest font on the cover, followed by the name of both the author and translator, which are printed in a similar font. However, the translator's presence becomes dominant on the obi. The first line, which is written in the largest Japanese font within the obi, reads 12 personal best, Murakami present wholeheartedly, followed by Murakami's personal best, updated translation of 12 works, including short stories, essays, and poems from Ray Kawaba's whole collection, which are Murakami's favorite, including explanations and chronological list. There is an emphasis on the word Murakami's personal best, which suggests that the selling point here is the volume consisting of Kawaba's works personally chosen by Murakami. And likewise, the obi on the paperbacks, has a strong emphasis on the translator. On the red obi, figure 6, the same catchphrase as the hardcover is listed above the script, which reads this month's new publication. But there is another version of obi in this one, figure 7, for the same volume in eye-catching lemon yellow, which has an overt emphasis on the translator. Although the cover includes the photographic image of Kawa, as well as the original book title in bold font, the obi solely focuses on Murakami. The catchphrase in far larger font size than that of the Kawaba's name in the book cover mentioned the time spending with Haruki Murakami, which should have been time spending with Raymond Kawa, because this volume consisting of his works. So these obi designs implies that the works being selected by Murakami would be the prior reason for which a reader would want to read the book, overshadowing the source author's presence. In 2006, the imprint Haruki Murakami Translation Library was launched by the same publisher. It is dedicated to Anglophone literature, selected and translated by Murakami, and currently has a catalog of 27 titles centered on works by the authors who he admires, including the entire works of Fitzgerald and Cabot. Murakami explains that the core reason for launching the imprint was because he desired to see these translations displayed as series at bookstores so that increase their visibility. Murakami is currently the only translator in Japan who has an imprint under his own name. The cover design of each volume makes it immediately clear to the reader that the book is part of the Murakami brand, which is manifested in 3 identical features. The title of the imprint, Murakami's name as a translator, and the image of a cat, the pet closely associated with Murakami's private life and his novels. The use of the cat logo reflects the publisher's attempt to give the imprint personality and immediate appeal, a strategy often used in the production of celebrity brand. Furthermore, the obi of each volume carries a catchphrase, Haruki Murakami Translation Library's latest issue, at the top in the largest font within the cover. By contrast, unlike the covers of Carver's Dozen, on which the source author has visual presence, his presence here becomes much toned down, as his name is listed only once on the cover above Murakami's name. The inclusion of Carver's works in the imprint, together with cover designs I just described, potentially consolidate the author's image as part of the Murakami brand, especially as the cover of all the titles published under this imprint, including the works by the others, like Fitzgerald, have identical features except that they are color-coded by the authors. The cover designs of Murakami's translation are discussed and demonstrate the process of publishers' branding strategies. First, they capitalized on Murakami's fame when they first introduced Carver's work by printing the translator's name much larger than the source author's. Second, in Carver's Dozen, the publisher added further characteristics to the author's work by highlighting Murakami's love for the source author, while also recruiting potential readers for the future publication of Carver's works. Fans of celebrities in general seek to experience what the celebrity does or feels, and they do so by purchasing the celebrity product. So Murakami's personal attachment to the author is likely to arouse fans' curiosity, effectively promoting the rest of the author's works which were to be included in the library. And finally, the inclusion of Carver's works in the library place them as part of the Murakami brand, which includes a wide variety of goods such as compilations of the music Murakami loves. The readers' reviews from the major online bookstores like Amazon suggest that the reasons for reading the book tend to relate to Murakami's being the translator in one way or another, which also echoes with the literary critics' comment. Although the numbers of translated novels in bookstores in Japan have been steadily decreasing over the past 20 years, only novels and poems by Raymond Carver have remained constant. Apparently, this is because the translator is the popular novelist Haruki Murakami. Notable motivations for reading the translation mentioned in the reviews can be broadly categorized into three. One, the first, Murakami's love for the author, which has been overtly advertised in his paratext. And second, simply the translator's being Murakami. And third, expecting to find a link between Murakami's translation and his novel writing, which typically manifests in Murakami's idiosyncratic writing style, employed in both his two writing practices. His writing style potentially gives the reader an illusion that the book is not a translation, but Murakami's his own writing. On the whole, the reader's responses suggest that the Murakami brand guarantees the quality and entertainment of the book, and so adds value to the works of Carver. And furthermore, some readers seem to view Murakami's translation as a subgenre of his novels. In addition, what appeals to Murakami also appeals to his readers, a behavior typically seen among fans of celebrities in general, who seek to express what the celebrity does or feels, and they do so by purchasing the celebrity product. This paper has illustrated that a translated celebrity status has the potential of functioning as a powerful commercial tool, which can promote foreign authors who are new to the book market in the target culture. Murakami's celebrity status allows him access to branding processes, which very much resembles those of celebrity brands. In these processes, the publisher not only emphasizes his name against that of the source authors, but also adds personality to the translations, highlighting the elements which attribute them to Murakami in promotional materials, including his being a novelist and having personal bond with the source author. And furthermore, as in the case of celebrities whose endorsement increase the perceived truthworthiness of the product, Murakami's reputation as a renowned novelist seemed to generate a level of kind of belief that the foreign literature chosen and translated by him is worth reading, as reflected in some of the readers' comments. And moreover, the translator's emotional attachment to the source author seems to arouse the curiosity of readers who may seek to experience what Murakami feels. So, translator's celebrity status, especially when containing elements attributed to the translator strongly associated with the source authors, could have significant commercial influence over how the translations are promoted and presented. In addition, it is not only the publishers who benefit from the translator's celebrity status. Murakami himself seems to take an advantage of his fame, which allows him freedom of choice in the selection of source text, as well as the freedom to present his translation the way he wants, like the case of the library, which can be seen as part of the Murakami brand. Moreover, Murakami himself adds personality to his translations by revealing his emotional bond with the source authors and his works in paratext. So he is actively taking part in the branding processes himself by labeling and managing and promoting the translation to the readers, as typically seen in the case of celebrity brand. However, while being included in the Murakami brand may increase readers' positive evaluation of the translation, the cover's work, it also overshadows his presence, reversing the translator source author's hierarchy, in which translators are seen as subservient to the latter, a traditional perception in the literary sphere. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Motoko. That was amazing. Made so many notes. But does anyone have any questions that is not me?
Yeah. Thank you for the inspiring presentation. I just want to stress the last part of your slide, of the last slide about conclusion, which is potentially reverse the translator source author hierarchy. I think that we can add also reverse translation source text hierarchy, just because we know that we always see this kind of process as something that comes from the source text up to the target text. So this is very interesting, and I would like to suggest, if you want to compare with another case, there is an Italian case, interesting Italian case, about the translation of Alice in Wonderland, the Aldo Bussi's translations, and I have also reference that I have taken.
He's a celebrity translator, isn't he?
Yeah, Aldo Bussi is very famous, but also linked to scandals for his life, and it is typically, there is a network of visibility between the translator and obviously Lewis Carroll in Alice in Wonderland. And there is a fantastic paper, a contribution that I will suggest to you by Mary Louise Wardle in 2012. Just because when you present this paper, I immediately think about that paper. That would be maybe a suggestion for your research.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'd like to note it down. Yeah, thank you.
Hi, Motoko. Thank you for this presentation. It's really interesting. I was just wondering, maybe I missed it, and I'm sorry if I did. I was just wondering, out of curiosity, how it is in Japan. Are there, like, is Murakami just an exception among other translators, or are there more translator celebrities such as him? And do they usually feature the names on the cover of books like that?
Well, to answer the second question, yes, all the translators, by regulation, they're all listed on the book cover. And the first question, of course, it's not all translators are celebrities, but translators in Japan tend to have higher recognition than those in general than elsewhere in Europe, for example. But there are only handful, maybe 3-4, really whom I would call celebrities. But others are like some famous translators, but not celebrities.
Thank you, Motoko. It was absolutely fascinating, especially because one of my translators thought that he was eclipsing Dostoevsky. So it's quite a common trend, I think, I see. But what I want to know about is so you said that Murakami is sort of driving his own brand, but presumably the publishing houses are quite happy. Are they happy to be driven, or do they sort of meet in the middle and they sort of run with all of his ideas, or do they actually have a literary agent who is in the middle driving ideas? How does that network
Actually,
operate?
it's like a more like a collaboration between Murakami and the publishers. The publisher offered kind of opportunity, to. I mean, it was Murakami who wanted to put all things together, and then of course publishing house, let's do that, and then they kind of came together. But usually Murakami has something to offer. Like he has things like because he wants to translate all everything from Carver's or Fitzgerald, and that gives the publishing house to the opportunity to form a brand. So Murakami is kind of generating the opportunity for the publisher, because he doesn't translate. If somebody asks him to translate something, he translates only what he wants to translate, so that it's in his hand. But of course, the publishing house give opportunity. I mean, the collaboration.
Is Murakami, would you say, shrewdly commercially minded as a translator, or is it the passion for his?
I think it's more to do with the passion, because he doesn't really doesn't need to make money out of doing translation, of course, and he's doing translation out of his passion. So, and also it's these authors he admires, he wants everyone to read it, and just out of driven out of passion.
Thank you.
Once again, thank you so much for this lovely presentation.
Thank you.
This was really lovely, and I think we can move on to our next presenter. Okay.